Well, welcome back to my regular viewers, and if this is your first time, thanks for stopping by. My regular viewers are likely aware that I've been in the process of restoring a Yamaha 100 twin jet for about the last year or so now, and we're closing in on finishing that project up. The exhaust system is out for rechroming right now, and I am putting the finishing touches on repainting the fuel tank and a few little odds and ends with that bike. And we'll be doing at least another video or two profiling the finished project. So this is not about the YL1, and it's not about the Honda SL 125 that is going to be my next restoration project. I had talked about that project, probably close to a year ago, planning to, once I finish the YL1, I'll move on to the 125 Honda. But this video is really about a little project I'm going to slip in between those two this summer. This is not a full restoration. It's really a reconditioning and a cleaning and putting it back in decent shape. And what I'm talking about is the first motorcycle I ever bought with my own money. I still have it, and you'll see here in just a moment. It's not the first motorcycle I ever owned. We'll talk about that in a minute, but it is the first little motorcycle I bought on my own. So without further ado, let's go take a look at that little project. Well, there it is, folks. The second motorcycle I ever owned, a 1972 Kawasaki F6 Enduro. The first bike I ever owned was a 1965 black Honda S90 that my parents bought for me for my 14th birthday, summer of 1971. And I used that bike for 2 years and then traded that Honda in on this little Kawasaki. The Honda was a great little bike, and I wish, excuse me, I wish I still had it. But we all know how that goes. And it ran great and never let me down. The problem with the Honda is I rode dirt with my buddies, and they all had two-strokes, 90s, 100s, 125s, and even one of them had a 175. And we trail rode and rode off-road, and all I saw was blue smoke. That little S90 could not anywhere near keep up with even the two-stroke 90s of the day. So I mowed lawns in the summer of 1972, saved up my money, and went down and bought this. This is a leftover. I bought it in April of 73 at the 72 model. It was a leftover from the previous model year, and the new 73s had just come out. So I bought this bike for $500 cash, and I still have the title, and it has been with me ever since. Multiple homes, everywhere I've moved, I've taken it with me. Believe it or not, this bike is virtually all original. The battery has been replaced several times, of course. The spark plug cap has been replaced. The front fender was replaced once because I dropped it and bent it. Those are steel fenders. And the front speedometer cable, I believe, was replaced. Other than that, the tires, tubes, chain, sprockets, all those normal wear items are all original. I don't recall if I replaced some of the light bulbs. I might have in the past, but the motor's never been opened up. It's got, I think, 8,900 miles. We'll take a look at that in a minute. And it does run, though, well, it did run. It hasn't been started in a couple of years. So part of this project is going to be pulling the carburetor, cleaning it, and just going through it, make sure everything looks good. And the bike's going to get a thorough cleaning. Yeah, I'm not going to restore it. It's too nice to restore, at least I think so. And I'm going to leave it as original as I possibly can. There might be a few bits and pieces here and there I might have to replace or replate, like some of the fasteners. But I'm really not going to take it all apart. I'm just going to clean it and take it apart only as necessary to do maintenance like the carburetor. That's a rotary valve, by the way. So the carburetor is right behind that cover right there. But handlebar grips, meters, headlight shell, taillight assembly, all original. So let's go take a little bit closer look at this, and we'll do a little walk around. By the way, it's going to be very warm today. It's going into late morning, and it's supposed to be later this afternoon 90 degrees Fahrenheit or so, which is what, around 32 degrees Celsius. So it's going to be a warm and humid afternoon. Just doing a little up close review of it. Foot pegs are original. I've never replaced those. Those are folding. I have dropped it a couple times, and again, the worst damage it ever sustained was that bent front fender. You can see there's a few chips and that kind of thing in the paint. Seats original, tanks original. Again, the tires are original. I am going to take the chain off and clean it and put it back. I'm not going to replace it. That license plate right there is the last time the bike was registered and used. It was 1982. It is, I still have the title for it, but it is no longer registered for the road. Left side of the bike, again, muffler's original. There's really no damage to it. It's a little rusty up near the cylinder, which it gets very hot, which is very common, of course. You can see that the side cover right there, it's got a stain on it. I think if I recall what happened many years ago, I took that cover off and put it in some kind of a cleaner. And those are painted side covers, and it damaged the paint. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that right now, whether I'm going to repaint that little side cover or just leave it alone. I will have to pull the wheels off, of course, because I'm going to retube the tires, because they don't hold air anymore. I can pump them up in a day or two, they're flat. So I am going to have to retube it, though I'd really rather not, but it's one of those things that's got to be done. You see that little plastic flap right there on the bottom of the front fender? That was optional. That was used, if I recall, that was used on the 175, the F7. And this bike had two holes here for the fasteners. And I think, if I remember right, again, that was a long time ago. It was many years ago. 47 years ago. The fender was pre-stamped. There's two holes. So this little mud flap was optional. I think I went down to the dealer and just bought it over the counter. Let's take a look at the meters. You see the meters there, I think. It's got 8,400 miles on it. Those are the original miles. All of those, every one of them, I put on it myself. Cables are in very good shape, though they might need to be cleaned, of course. I don't know if all the lights and everything works, because I haven't run it in a couple of years, and it does not have a battery in it right now. Again, I never store my bikes with batteries in them. Little story on this keychain right here. Those are, by the way, the two original keys that came with the bike. That little green plastic piece that's on the key chain there, I made in 8th grade shop class. Believe it or not. I didn't do a very good job on it because it's not square. But that has been with this bike since it was new. The fuel tank, you won't be able to really see in there, I don't think, very well, but the fuel tank is absolutely clean. There is no rust inside of the fuel tank. I will probably replace this gasket because it's getting pretty brittle. This black, flat black, that's just a sticker, like a decal almost. That's original. I did not put that on there. That's the way this bike came from the dealer. Take a look under the seat. I think you can see here what it looks like. Battery compartment is right here. I think you can see the battery compartment. Air cleaner in there. 2-stroke oil. The owner's manual goes up underneath here, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. I'll show you the owner's manual. You'll notice this little piece of binder twine right here. I don't know if you can see it. how well you can see it. We had horses when I was a kid, so we always had lots of binder twine around for hay bales. And I wrapped that and put that underneath there as really a tow rope, probably in 1973. That tells you how old that binder twine is. It's been there ever since in case I had to tow somebody home. I don't recall ever having to use it at all. And there's the taillight. You can see on a taillight here, I think, where the original dealer sticker was. Long since gone, peeled off and lost it somewhere along the way. So that's the project. So I'm going to pull this in the shop. I'm going to clean it thoroughly. I'm going to remove the carburetor, clean it, check it over. This carburetor should be in very good shape because I normally don't, of course, store my bikes with fuel in them. I'll probably rinse out the gas tank just to make sure there's no residual fuel in there. I don't think there is. I did pull the fuel petcock off right there. That's already been removed. And that was empty and dry. But I'm going to just do a thorough cleaning, replace the tubes, replace any other wear items that really need it, and get it started. I'll bring you along for the ride here as I can. Again, this isn't really rocket science, it's pretty academic, but I did want to share with you the project I'm going to work on in between the YL1 and starting on the Honda SL125. Let's go take an up-close look at the owner's manual. I want to do a little bit of an up-close review of the user manual, rider's handbook for the F6. It's in very good condition for its age. It's always been stored with the bike under the seat. There's a couple spots there you might see some fingerprints, like right there in the lower right hand corner, because I did use it as reference when I was doing the preventive maintenance on it. In particular, what I wanted to share with you was this back memo page. These are the notes that I made when I first got the bike and when I initially owned it. You can see it was bought April 30, 1973 on a Saturday. I did have the 500-mile check and the 1,000-mile check. That was at the dealer. Battery went bad right away. Took it back to the Cat Barn, which was the dealer where we bought it, and got a new one free. They'd assembled the speedometer cable incorrectly and it failed or broke with 3 miles. Took it back and they put on a new one. Changed transmission oil, etc., etc. No other problems as of January 19, 1974. Changed the previously mentioned transmission oil. We're running available synthetic 2-stroke oil with good results. I used a Kawasaki synthetic. Yes, they did have it back in those days. And I've always used synthetic in this bike. Warranty expired October 73, but it's not really needed. In January, I got a new front fender. My dad ordered it in December. It was the wrong one. I dropped the bike, as I mentioned, twisted the front fender, and we took it back and got the correct one. And then I think that's where the notes stop. So I thought that was kind of neat. It really shows when I was, 15, 16 years old back then. I tried to pay a lot of attention to taking care of the bike. This brings back memories when I flip through it. See some of the details there. Most of you are probably quite familiar with. Interesting to show the side cover for the 175 here. Of course, this is for the F6 and F7. The F7 was the 175 version of this bike. Anyway, I always thought that was kind of neat. I kept it with the bike, and it will go, when I'm done cleaning it up, putting it back together, it will go back under the seat where it belongs. Well, that's it for this video today, folks. As we go along with the project, I will probably bring you back and show you bits and pieces. I'm not, as I indicated, not going to share the entire process of cleaning it up and doing some maintenance work on it. It's pretty academic, but I will probably do show you a few things as we go. Any issues, thoughts, questions, drop me a note. Otherwise, as usual, thanks for watching.